We're about to get started into our discussion, but while I'm waiting for some people to come on, and I'm not going to wait too long because I know you're going to catch it on the back end, I just want to explain to you what the Love Spot extension is. The Love Spot extension is an avenue for me to allow for more discussion, for me to allow um, the citizens to come on and interact with me and Mrs. G, because we don't have that time on the radio on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock. So we had decided on having a love spot where we can interview and talk to you directly, and we don't have to worry about going over our time. Please know that this was actually something that was asked of me. People have been asking me to allow them to come on my radio show, and they want to discuss certain things. So this was my way of trying to accommodate these individuals until I'm able to get more time on the show, that I can actually bring you to the show and have these with me and Mrs. G. The basis of my show is always biblical. That's my pastor, y'all. The basis of my show is always biblical, always biblical. So I want to start off with Psalms 82, and we want to put emphasis on verse 3. But before we start the discussion, I need to lay my biblical verse. Psalms 82. God presides in a great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the wicked? Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. The gods know nothing. They understand nothing. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods. You are all sons of the Most High, but you will die like mere mortals. You will fall like every other ruler. Rise up, O God, judge the earth, for all the nations are your inheritance. And like I said, I want to focus on verse 3, where it says, defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. We do know that God is still the ruler of all nations, right? And it is important that I do my part to keep our people encouraged, informed, and give them an avenue to voice their opinions, or to have a voice. So that is what I call myself doing right now, keeping people informed. So let's go into our first topic. Let's first congratulate Chief Tanya Chapman for being nominated by the Montgomery County's executive, Mr. Mark Elrich, to be their next sheriff. A long way to go because the city council has to vote on that, but we just want to keep her in prayer, keep her encouraged. We pray that their city council will see in her what we, the citizens of Portsmouth, saw in her, because there was a difference in the officers' attitudes when she was the sheriff. I mean, trust me, I know, because every time I feel like I need them, I call them. I mean, when she was the chief, she wasn't the sheriff, the chief. Every time I feel like I need them, I call them. And I remember when she was the chief, when they came, they were more confident. They were more, you know, outgoing as far as relating to the citizens. They didn't come all gung-ho and like they were scared or looking for something bad. To me, they were, doing some real community policing. And then I've called them since Chief Green been the chief, and they just seem a little bit uncertain. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was because it was a little late. Just seemed like they were, just uncertain. And I don't blame them for being uncertain. They can't help it because, the citizens feel uncertain as well. And I'm just talking from about the ones I have spoken to, and I can tell you from my interpretation. And of course, you all know that I'm former law enforcement, not just a deputy sheriff here in Chesapeake. I was a deputy sheriff in the county of Chatham and Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. I was a police officer certified, peace officer certified, which means I went to the police academy and I learned all that good stuff about this, that, and the other community of policing. I have a degree in criminal justice. My undergrad, I got a master's in religion and a master's little something under my belt. I am a former veteran. I spent 9 years in the military. So I got a little bit of something going on where I can sit here and relate to others and relate to others about what's going on in our city. Okay. But like I said, the citizens, some of us are feeling uncertain. I certainly am because, but it's not Chief Green's fault. She did what most individuals that need job security would have done. I can't say I would have done it, but I can understand that those who would have done it, I can understand it. But however, because it happened that way, some of us are having a difficult time respecting and accepting her. Yeah, it has nothing to do with her doing her job, but it does because as the police chief, you need input from the community. You need the citizens to trust you and your officers. And if the citizens don't trust you and your officers, you won't get that information that you need. You won't get the tips that you're going to need to solve some of these crimes. So I don't know what you're going to do, but I do pray for you and your department. But unfortunately, the city has made you look like a backstabber. But I mean, I asked other people, what would you have done if you was in that same predicament? But I wouldn't want to be in that. I wouldn't want that. And I'm supposed to be a leader in the community, but I pray for you. I really do pray for the chief. I tell you what, though, I would have more respect and understanding for her if I found out she was helping Chief Chapman. If I found out that she stayed to help her case and validate the accusations of racism in that department, I would have that for her. But hey, may God bless her real good. So let's move on to our next topic, and that's the topic of Bill Moody, baby. It is time for us to discuss what is going on with him. Does he not realize that he represents us, people of color? Does he not realize that? I was reading earlier the reporter, I think his name is Chanu Her from 13 News, and his statement, his write-up said, Portsmouth Councilman Bill Moody said in a tweet yesterday that he's tired of the term people of color after he praised President Trump for telling 4 non-white congresswomen to go back to their countries. He tried to justify with a Martin King quote. Today, he doubled down, tweeting, most Americans support Trump, telling the squad to leave if you don't like our country. Councilman Moody told me, and this is the reporter, Chanu, told me he doesn't think his comments were racist. He says he's defending our country from the 4 congresswomen and others who are disparaging America. And he says those people can leave our country if they think it's that awful. No, I defended our country. My friends defended our country when we went into the military. We defended the country, and we defended the country as people of color, a lot of us. And so don't try to fall back on you defending our country with that racist statement. That statement was very, very racist that you made. And for those of you who didn't read it, I don't know where you've been if you didn't know what he said. First he said, Democrats and their media followers have had an awful weeks is what he wrote. The House rejected Trump's impeachment. Most Americans support Trump. If you don't like our country, Trump's approval numbers are up. Democrats and their media must be depressed at another backfire. I don't know about all that. I don't know about his approval letter. I don't know about most Americans support Trump. I don't know about that. But that's how he feels. He supports Trump. Okay, so I am really tired of hearing the term people of color. Martin King said, I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Apparently, Squad doesn't agree. Now, my whole thing is, are we in that nation yet? Because I don't think we're in that nation yet where we're not judged by the color of our skin. Because if we were, I don't think that you would agree with anybody saying the people of color. Why can't this be people who disagree with your president? Why can't be people who disagree with you? No, we're not there yet. So don't make any, mistakes in thinking that we are where we're supposed to be or where Dr. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed for his kids. They kill me with that foolishness, and I mean they as the racist people always want to drag Martin Luther King or Malcolm X into something, and so my whole thing is you can squash that because those of us that are out here to inform the people, we can see through this foolishness. Democrats, this is Bill Moody again. Democrats have turned the House of Representatives into a circus. Since they took control of the House, they have not done one single constructive thing for our country. Okay. Okay. He goes on, what's racist about if you don't like this country, get out. Good for Trump putting the socialist squad in their place for attacking our country. Silence means concurrence. It's about time we had a president to defend our country instead of apologize. Okay, well, that's in his tweet. My whole thing with that is, okay, what's racist about it? Maybe because that's what people of color have been told for years to get out of our country, a country that y'all stole. First of all, because I have more rights to this country than some of you. Why? Because my ancestors are Native Americans, baby. My great grandfather was a Native American. My grandmother was Native American. My other grandfather was Native American. So I have a right to be here just like some other people of color. So that's the first thing. How are you going to send us somewhere that you stole from the Native Americans, but y'all feel like you're entitled to tell someone to leave the country? But hey, I'm not going to get in no bickering argument about it. That's how you feel. I feel everybody should be welcome. That's going to make positive impact. And I feel like fit in, help them be legalized, this, that, and the other, however, and it shouldn't take a milestone to do so. Yes, come in correctly. Okay, I can agree with that. Come in the right way. But to tell someone who helped build this country, who helped build this country to go back to their country because you guys are messing it up, because you guys have took and single-handedly divided the nation, and now you're bringing our stuff into the city of Portsmouth. Not bringing, because you've already brought it into the city of Portsmouth, Mr. Moody. You already brought division. It's just that every time it gets close to you to get reelected, you start doing stuff to act like you care about. And we tend to forget the last 3 months before your election, we tend to forget that you do not care about the people of color. So we need to stop forgetting. So it's my job, because Psalms 82 is my job, to make sure we don't forget next time. Make sure we don't forget next November. It's my job to continue to keep putting out the racism, the negativity, the everything that is against us, our community. That's my job, along with others, because we definitely have had people come against these statements, like the NAACP, Mr. James Ward. We have had our own Senator Lucas come against this statement. Let me read what she said for those who didn't read what she said. Councilman Moody has become a prodigy of 45. That would be the president, and has energized a recall movement by Portsmouth citizens, especially those of us who are people of color. For too long, we have suffered this racial insult and his inappropriate behavior without consequences. It's past time for change because people of color are not going anywhere, but rather we have the voting power to send Bill Moody somewhere. He doesn't have to go home. Excuse me. Whew. He doesn't have to go home, but he's got to get off our city council. In the words of our community organizer and civil rights advocate Fannie Lou Hamer, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired of his racial epithets. We will no longer tolerate Moody or any elected official who exhibits a lack of respect for Portsmouth citizens. Over many years as a public servant, I have endeavored to work with elected officials at the national, state, and local level to include Bill Moody. This is Senator Lucas. His racist remark have made that impossible going forward. People may say he has a right to say what he chooses. When Moody chooses to insult a majority of the people of color, who makes up 50% of Portsmouth, then he also has the right to suffer the consequence of his callous behavior. Words matter. We want him to step aside so we can elect a leader who is fit to serve in public office. The sooner he resigns or is recalled, the better it would be for the city of Portsmouth. Ironically, Councilman Bill Moody has lots of experience with recalls, so stay tuned. There is one coming from him. That is our senator, y'all. And I'm going to tell you, I support it. I support her because, I mean, this is just ridiculous. We don't need this. We got enough stuff going on where we don't need this racial divide. We just don't. And then everybody feels that way that normally wouldn't come out being, racial. They want to side with him. They want to talk, like it's okay. It's not okay. We all have to work together. We have to live in this city together. We need to at least be able to get along without racial division and without our leader being the lead person of the racial division. So I stand with Senator Lucas and I stand with MLK Leadership Steering Committee because I am the secretary and I am honored to be their secretary. So let me tell you what the Martin Luther King Leadership Steering Committee says. How sad it is that we must endure the same racism in 2019 as we did in the 1960s. Shame on Bill Moody for his disregard for people of color. It is obvious that he has never had to walk in the footsteps of one who is considered the minority. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Maya Angelou. Bill Moody has shown us his true colors numerous of times, not only through his votes on city council, he showed us when he referred to peaceful protesters. The Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee believes that Bill Moody is not an adequate representation for a city with predominantly people of color. We will do everything in our power to successfully remove Mr. Moody from our city council. We support the efforts of the NAACP President James Patrick Boyd and will stand with him in solidarity. A change will come soon. Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee, 7/19/2019. So we do believe that we need a new representation on our city council, and I stand with the MLK Leadership Steering Committee. So you know what I really would like? I would really like for Mr. Moody to explain to us why he feel like it's okay to talk about people of color or to refer to people of color as thugs or to not take into consideration what we need and what our children need. Okay, that's what I would like. I would like for him to explain to us. I think we should give him the opportunity to explain what he meant by that comment, by those statements. But, he won't. He won't. So we need to do something about it. So we need to come together and we need to stop letting our disagreements, letting our dislike for each other, letting our past run-ins determine who we allow to be the leaders in our city. We have to come together for something. If we don't, we're going to fall. We need to stand united or we're going to fall. This is why we're in what we're in right now, because we won't come together. We don't come together. And every time we have elections, there's someone strategizing what will happen if we have fallen apart, if we are separated as a community, and they'll stick one of these people right back in that hand to include Mr. Moody. So we have to come together and listen. And but it's up to you guys, because the bottom line is we elect these people. Whether you vote for them personally or not, as a whole, we elect these people. We elect them. We elected the president. We elected Mr. Moody. I can't call him councilman. I can't see him as a leader because of how he thinks. He doesn't care about us. So it's so hard for me. It's so hard for me to address him by his title. Oh my God, it's really hard. It's heartbreaking. So I try to give him as much respect as he didn't give to the people of color. All right, so let's hope he'll give us an explanation of why he feel the way he feel. Now let's talk about these upcoming elections, because that's a little sad. That little segment right there was really depressing and sad, and it's not something that we really want to talk about in 2019. The same stuff that our grandparents and great 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 grandparents were going through. We don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about these elections, baby. Okay, so for state senate, 2nd district, Miss Mamie Clark, she's running unopposed. State senate, 14th district, unopposed, Mr. John A. Cosgrove Jr. State senate, 18th district, Miss L. Louise Lucas, unopposed. And the House of Delegates for the 79th district, Mr. Steve E. Heretic, and he's also unopposed. Now, for the House of Delegates 80th District is James W. Evans Sr., Don L. Scott, who is our Democratic nominee. And we need to vote for someone who's going to vote for us. We need to vote for someone who's going to make decisions based on what we need as a community here in Portsmouth. We don't need to vote for our friends because they cool like that. We don't need to vote because we think that we want something that new or something like that. No, we need to vote for those who are going to vote for us. And I can guarantee you Don's got no vote for us. He's adamant about doing what's right for the people of Portsmouth. And I'm telling you this because I know that he's adamant about it. Because let me tell y'all something about Minister Love. I may laugh and grin in your face. I'm going to always be pleasant because the word tells us to love one another. But that doesn't mean I like your views. That doesn't mean I agree with your demeanor. It doesn't mean that, but I'm going to always be kind to you and at least show you a smile. Okay? And then if you choose not to speak to me, I know how to shake the dust from my feet. Okay? So now for clerk of court, Miss Cynthia P. Morrison, who is also on the Democratic nominee ticket. And she and Don Scott and Senator Lucas are all endorsed by the Martin Luther King Leadership Steering Committee. Okay? We know that these people are going to be best for us. And we just pray that you know it as well. Okay, so City Clerk of Court is Cynthia P. Morrison, running for Democratic on the Democratic nomination. You have Mallory D. Carver running independent, and also Miss Latoya Dawn Hyatt. I think that's running independent as well. Everybody who wants to run deserves to run. Everybody who wants to run deserves to run. I just have to vote for those that I'm confident or I have confidence in, that I know is going to do the job that I need them to do. Okay, and also I back the Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee ticket, which is Don Scott, Cynthia Morrison, and Louise Lucas. And it's nothing biased about it. It's just who I have confidence in, and apparently the members of the Martin Luther King Leadership Steering Committee has confidence in them as well. So we know the election is going to be on November 5th of 2019 this year. So make sure you get out and vote. It's very important that we get out and vote. Even though this is not a presidential election, we still need to make sure we put the right people in Richmond. So we need Don Scott working hand in hand with Senator Lucas, and we need Miss Morrison working hand in hand with these attorneys down here, the ones that putting our people in prison and stuff. We need to make sure their paperwork right, so they ain't doing no extra time. where they're not doing unnecessary time. We need to do that. We need her. Okay, y'all. So we're gonna move on to something else. Um, but I do want to make this statement. I want to make this statement about the Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee. We every year, every election year, we stand up and we ask you to vote for those that we endorse. So we would not be providing due diligence if we didn't stand up against the statements of racism. We would not be providing due diligence to the people that we ask to trust us for who to elect if we let people just walk all over us and talk to us any kind of way and refer to us um, anything other than human beings. So please know that we are aware of what's going on. We're on the radar and we stand for justice as well. So we will not let this rest. The Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee will not let this rest. If I have to come on every day and talk about it until the elections time or until it's time that we're able to do a recall, I will. I won't let it rest. I'm getting tired of getting kicked in the stomach. And then when it's time for elections, you're smiling and grinning in our faces. So I just want you to know that everybody needs to be treated equally. Everybody needs to be treated equally. You know, and don't think that we're going to just sit by idly and twiddle our fingers, our thumbs, and not keep you informed. So that was going to be it for our Love Spot extension today. I thank you for those who stopped by and also for those who are going to watch it later. I thank you for that. I want you to know that we're going to continue to do our best to keep you informed along with Mr. Overton. You know what? I thank God for Mr. James Overton because he's the one that encouraged me, and Mr. Ed Joyner. Y'all know Mr. Ed Joyner, number one producer in the Hampton Roads area. He has encouraged me, and I just want to thank them for first pushing me and not pushing me aside. You know, so many people in competition, but they encouraged me to do things that I never would thought I would be doing. So I thank you for that. And once again, you listen to the Love Spot and on Saturday mornings on 1400 at 11 o'clock a.m. And we're just going to advise you what thus said the Lord. And we're going to talk story too, because we like to keep you informed. That's the whole thing. Make sure you love yourself and then love on someone else. Have a great, great week.